wonderful to be so rich, isn't it?
Hollywood, where the bright halo always comes with unpredictable darkness. There, each star is not only an actor on the silver screen, but also the main character in dramatic real-life stories, secrets that have never been revealed. In today's video, the character we are talking about is Hayley Mills. She is a childhood star remembered by the whole world for her innocence and natural talent, but has a little-known backstory. At the height of her career, she almost lost everything when a cruel producer forced her to strip in front of the camera, an experience that haunted her for the rest of her life. Although her parents helped her start her career, Hayley always carried resentment and blamed them for the pressure and sadness she had to go through. So why is that? Let's explore the regrets that shaped her life. In today's video,
Would you kindly get off the stage? America, America.
Hayley Mills was not a natural prodigy or a special child. She just had a special condition to start a career that many people only dare to dream of: being born into a wealthy and famous family in the entertainment industry. But that advantage was like a double-edged sword. Her parents not only expected too much but also imposed too much. They didn't let her choose her own path, but planned everything from a very young age. Hayley's life revolved around the spotlight, and there weren't many options for her when her father was Sir John Mills, a big name in British cinema, and her mother, Mary Bell, was also a famous actress. At the age of 12, Hayley got her first role in the movie Tiger Bay, alongside her father. The movie was not only a huge success in terms of revenue but also made Hayley a phenomenon. But at that time, she was still too young to fully understand the meaning of fame. At heart, Hayley was just an angry child, thrust into a world she did not choose. Success or failure didn't matter to her parents. The only thing they wanted was for Hayley to become their successor, a famous actress like them. Tiger Bay was the beginning of Hayley's meteoric rise to fame, but it was also the beginning of the struggles she would face later on. Her parents wanted her to succeed so much that they didn't allow her to have a life of her own, and the pressure to live up to their expectations became overwhelming. Even as her career flourished, Hayley felt like she was carrying an invisible debt, a burden that she could never put down. Hayley Mills' story is not just one of fame, but also a lesson in the price of being thrust into the spotlight at such a young age. The relentless efforts and regrets that have shaped a life of hardship and challenge have never been so cheap. Hayley Mills had no idea what was about to happen when she took on a role as the optimistic and lovable Pollyanna in Disney's 1960 film Pollyanna. What seemed like another part for a young actress quickly turned into a life-changing opportunity. The film caught the eye of producer Bill Anderson, one of Walt Disney's closest collaborators, who recognized Hayley's potential. Thanks to him, Hayley was given the lead role, and the rest, as they say, is history. Pollyanna became a beloved on-screen icon, a bright, hopeful character that stood out against the harshness of her cold aunt's world. Not only did the role catapult her to stardom, but it also earned Hayley the prestigious Academy Award for Children, the last time it was ever awarded. From being a girl with limited choices, Hayley Mills suddenly found herself a star in Hollywood, a name that could no longer be ignored. But her newfound fame came with its own set of challenges. In Pollyanna, she portrayed innocence and optimism, and by 1961, Disney could not resist giving her another chance to shine. This time, Hayley played the dual roles of twin sisters, Sharon and Susan, in The Parent Trap. Not only did she seamlessly switch between two contrasting personalities, but she also created an unforgettable moment when she sang a duet with herself in the song Let's Get Together. The song became an international hit, climbing to number 8 on the charts and further solidifying Hayley's place as a rising star. As the year progressed, Hayley's career continued to soar. She took on a role in the crime film Whistle Down the Wind, a performance that brought her to the top of the entertainment world. She was even crowned as the #1 star in the UK, a title few young actors could ever dream of holding. Yet, as Hayley's fame grew, so did the feeling of being controlled. Every aspect of her life, every decision, every move, was scrutinized and calculated by her parents. It was as if she were trapped in a gilded cage, never allowed to be fully free. Then came an opportunity that could have changed everything. In 1962, Hayley was offered the lead role in the controversial film Lolita, a chance to shed her innocent Disney image and step into a more mature, complex role. But her father, Sir John Mills, firmly rejected the offer, refusing to let her break away from the carefully curated image Disney had created for her. Hayley obeyed, but the regret lingered. She knew that Lolita could have opened doors to an entirely new path in her career, a path that allowed her to explore a broader range of roles and possibilities. At just 19 years old, Hayley was beginning to understand the weight of living in the shadow of the perfect, innocent girl her parents wanted her to be. She could no longer ignore the deep yearning to break free and be her true self. So, in a quiet act of rebellion, she packed her bags, left her parents' lavish but cold home, and flew to New York alone. The city that promised opportunity, excitement, and freedom was waiting for her. Within days of arriving, Hayley made a bold decision. She was determined to break the mold she had been trapped in for so long, the image of the innocent Disney angel that had followed her through her entire career. To do so, she proactively approached a man, a friend of her sister's, with a clear intention to lose the innocence the world had always seen in her. It was her way of taking control of her own life and stepping into the unknown, no longer content to live in the confines of the expectations placed upon her. Hayley Mills' journey from child star to rebellious young woman was not easy, nor was it without regret. But it was a journey of self-discovery, one where she realized that in order to be true to herself, she had to step out of the role others had written for her and write her own story. It was her sister who first introduced Hayley to Joe, a former New York City cop who had seen the rough edges of life but was now tasked with the much lighter job of showing a young star around the city. According to Hayley Mills, that night felt like something out of a tragic black and white movie. The hotel was quiet, the candles flickered, and the silk nightgown she wore was carefully chosen for the occasion. But as the night wore on, reality hit her like a cold wave. What she had hoped would be a moment of liberation quickly turned into something she couldn't shake, a regret so heavy it lingered long after. She didn't feel stronger or freer as she'd imagined. She felt empty, dirty, and lost. In that moment, Hayley wished she had never left her parents' protective arms. The next morning, without much fanfare, Hayley quietly packed her things, not to run away, but to return to the safety of her past, the familiar past that had never really been left behind, and the uncertain future that stretched ahead. She returned to school and spent the next year in reflection, trying to distance herself from that moment. Looking back, Hayley wondered if she'd been better off never making that choice. The aftermath of what she thought was her break into adulthood had, in reality, left her with a deeper sense of emptiness. In 1965, Hayley officially ended her relationship with Disney, taking a significant step by starring in the comedy That Darn Cat. For 6 years, she had been the face of Disney's children's programming, beloved and admired by fans around the world. But behind the adoration, Hayley had never truly felt proud of that period of her life. Signing a long-term contract with Disney had cost her many opportunities to develop her career beyond the child star image. She felt trapped, and the weight of that role slowly began to erode her self-esteem. She realized that she was living in the shadow of a persona she had never really chosen, a persona that would haunt her for years. After leaving Disney, Hayley made a triumphant return to the screen with The Trouble with Angels in 1966, her first major success outside of Disney's world. It was a moment of reinvention, a sign that she was no longer bound by the innocence and limitations of her early roles. But even as Hayley started to carve out a new path for herself, she found herself facing a challenge that she could never truly forgive herself for. In The Family Way, 1966, a project her father had approved for her, Hayley was asked to take on a role that required her to strip in front of the camera. Initially, she saw this as an opportunity to shed her Disney image for good, to prove that she was no longer the same innocent girl the world had known. However, what was meant to be a defining moment in her career soon became a source of immense pain. The scene itself was only brief, but it took 3 long, grueling days to film, leaving Hayley feeling vulnerable, exposed, and completely unprepared for the emotional toll it would take on her. In her own words, Hayley recalled it as the worst and most terrifying film experience of her life. That single scene robbed her of the confidence she had painstakingly built over the years. The emotional and psychological struggles that followed sent her spiraling into a deep depression. Although she eventually recovered and resumed her career, the scars from that experience would never fully fade. The pain and loss lingered in ways that were not always visible to others. Seeking peace and a reprieve from the relentless pressures of the public eye, Hayley chose to retreat from the spotlight for many years. It wasn't until 1981 that she returned to television, starring in the British series The Flame Trees of Thika. But by then, everyone knew that her career was never going to be the same. The star that once captivated the world with her innocence and charm had changed, and though she would continue to work, the magic that had once defined her seemed to fade. Hayley Mills' journey was one of reinvention, heartache, and the pursuit of inner peace. It was a story of a child star who, after years of living in the shadow of fame and family expectations, bravely faced the complex realities of adulthood. Her legacy, though marked by trials and struggles, stands as a testament to the strength it took to break free from a world that tried to define her and carve out a life of her own. If you have to choose between work and spending time with your children, don't hesitate, choose your children. She was unsure whether her approach would work for others but wanted to take control of her own fate. Against the odds, Hayley overcame the disease and, in 2012, publicly announced that she was cancer-free. After her recovery, she returned to work and credited a healthy diet for boosting her immune system and aiding her swift recovery. Since her last appearance on screen, Hayley has lived a peaceful life, focusing on her family and new passions, especially writing. Although she hasn't officially announced her retirement, her fans continue to hope for her return to the screen. At 78 years old, Hayley Mills is still regarded as the Disney girl in the hearts of millions of fans. Her appearance may have changed, but her spirit remains as vibrant as ever. She currently lives with her young partner in a cozy house in London, enjoying a peaceful and fulfilling life. With an estimated fortune of $5 million, Hayley has managed to live life to the fullest, embracing new adventures while reflecting on her past with no regrets. This is the story of Hayley Mills, her journey through love, loss, illness, and triumph. If you found it meaningful and inspiring, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss the next video.